Good turnaround Tuesday, Warriors. How you doing, Sinatra? You haven't heard people call you that in a while, have you? AJ. Hi, Blake. Hi, Ryan.
What a night, Dale. What a night.
Why? What happened?
Oh my God.
Oh, you mean with
So
S&Ps were down? I saw like 20, 30 handles and they're higher today.
no, I
What
mean
happened?
Trump threatened 25% tariffs on
Oh,
Mexico and Canada. And I mean
yeah,
the
all right. Yeah,
literally the
I heard
dollar
that.
CAD ripped to 142 basically,
Yeah, I
and it's
did
come off
see
about
that.
100 pips. It's up to 141.70 came off. I mean the FX market just the euro actually closed the gap from the weekend and rallied 100 pips
Wow.
since last night. I mean, it's been
Yeah, I see
bonkers
that.
crazy. We got so much to talk about. So I'll let you do your thing, and then we've got a lot to discuss
All
today.
right. Well, I'm gonna just say
And
finally.
wait, can I say this before you go on? Great call on
Yeah.
Bitcoin. Um,
Oh,
it was early. It was early, but man, it is really selling off. Good job.
uh, okay, thanks. Yeah, so I noticed even though gold got killed yesterday, I was talking to Kman and said, he had like a 2620 and I saw this, so I think this was a buying opportunity. And silver too. Silver I think is going to make a run to 32 and it's probably all part of this dollar pullback. But I even caught something by Grega who says this still could be a four, which that implies eventually one more shot up. Okay, so um, that's about all I have. Uh, Platinum, you know, look, it's at new lows. If you're a precious metal bull and you want the white stuff, palladium's acting better.
No, that's not the
So,
white stuff that we want, Dale.
uh,
Wait a
well,
second. I'm sorry. It's not
oh yeah,
1980.
oh yeah.
It's not the 1980s.
You know you're driving a DeLorean, Blake.
How's that?
It follows the white line on the highway. All right. So anyway, I'm going to give you the charts, and that's pretty much what I'm thinking. And you're really in tune with what happened. So
Yeah,
just
it was
go
it
ahead.
was just it was really a wild night
Were
last
you up
night.
all
So
night trading last night?
I
Everyone
you know what
hanging out?
happened? So I was literally doing for those of you that do them, you can have a little bit of appreciation here. I was doing planks at the gym. It was for my time it was probably about 4, I don't know, 4:15,
Yeah,
4:30, so about 6:30 in the evening. And
yeah,
in perfect Trump fashion, you see the announcements that there's going to be a tariff. Now, I just happened to look at quotes, and I was maybe about 4 or 5 minutes behind. And this happened. You see the
yeah.
dollar Canadian. I was right about here when it was happening, and I was with my gym partner, and I'm like, yo, Dave, I gotta go. And so I took off and ran
Yeah.
back home. And I was at my house within about 10 minutes. And we were trading basically up through 141 and then spiked up towards 141.30s. Actually, I was home when we got it into the 20s. So anyway, really
Yeah.
big move
He's not
in
even installed yet, Blake.
well,
So
that's the
look at what
thing.
we have to be to look forward to.
Well,
We're
that's
gonna have
that's the
is
thing is
yeah,
there's a couple different issues here. Yes, as we pointed out last night on Twitter, he's not even in office and he's causing this kind of ruckus.
yeah,
Imagine what happens when he's in office.
yeah.
And
That's
I'm
what,
gonna give you guys a little bit of a warning, and this is just from my own personal experiences. Because at that time I was, when his first term, I was trading for a firm with basically unlimited buying power. And I cannot tell you the number of times, which is in the dozens, the number of times that it would be the evening, and I would be in a healthy 20, $30,000 profit. And by the time he was done and I was, walking or in the gym or enjoying my evening, having dinner, I literally would lose all of my profits and then some. and that was that really, I learned a lot over those 4 years, his first term, that having overnight positions is very dangerous because
Yeah.
he has ideas, and when he has ideas, he lets them rip. And he could be on the toilet, he could be eating McDonald's, he could be, flying across the Atlantic, and if he feels it, he'll say it and he'll let it rip, and he'll just tell his team, to his social media team, get this information out right now. And it could be at 11 o'clock Eastern, it could be at 8 o'clock Eastern. It's
Yeah.
at random times, and you just have to be very careful because there's traders in our chat room. As soon as I got back, if you guys don't know how active it was last night, you can just go back, and this is our Forex Analytics chat room, and you can just see all of the conversations that were going on. And there's guys in Europe that are like, I was just, you can tell they were just at home trying to, enjoy their peaceful sleep, and then all of a sudden, all of this is happening last night, and it's just crazy. It's not, I mean, it's crazy, but it's just, it happens. There's just
Yeah.
all of these big moves, taken off, and then you have to react to them because you don't know how far they're going to go. I think today we have a little bit better idea of what's happening, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm going to let Ryan jump in here because we have like month end, corporate month end, holiday. We have a continued dollar weakness from yesterday in some other currencies, but we're seeing the dollar strengthen against, the Canadian, the Mexican peso, and futures don't know what to do because you have a nod to Treasury Secretary appointee, I guess we call him,
Yeah.
Scott Bessent, where he's a guy that's supposed to be quote unquote more moderate on tariffs, and Trump is just basically in his face after appointing him. He's he's now up in his grill, basically
Right.
saying, "Yeah, you could be Treasury Secretary, do whatever you want, have whatever opinions you have, but we're still going to impose, 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada to stop fentanyl." And I mean, dude, it's
Look,
crazy.
there's nothing, I would call most cabinet posts in his administrations kind of like a temp job because he
Yeah,
went through he went through
yeah.
his cabinet two, three deep. It was like the NFL, next man up. So the cabinet he has when he starts probably isn't going to be there, in
Well,
full
and
anyway.
that's another thing. That's a big speculation, and you would think, and this is what most people have said, that in his next term, he's grown a lot, he's matured a
Oh yeah.
lot. And
Yeah,
I and
me
I
too.
like you,
Me
I'm
too.
I'm giggling here, yeah, and
None of
and
us
I
change.
and people believe that he's learned so much, and he's had
Mm.
4 years to ponder on what, I don't know. I still think it's going to be 4 more years of chaos that's coming our way. But let's get Ryan's opinion here
Let's
on
just make
how he
money.
views, waking up. I'm sure, Ryan, you were asleep. You got up and you said, "What the fudge sickle just happened?" So tell
Yeah.
us, in your view, what is happening from your point of view.
Well, first and foremost, the important thing that traders need to know, and this is the most important thing you need to know. Okay, Trump dropped this on his Truth Social platform, and it was a minute or so, even more, before it hit the main wires. So if you were plugged into Truth Social and you saw that post, you had a minute head start on all those moves that we saw. So I don't
Wow.
care what your politics are. I don't care whether you like Elon Musk, don't like Elon Musk, like Trump, don't like Trump, whatever. If you are trading, then you need to be on Truth Social and you need to be set up so you have the opportunity to get this stuff first because you're getting it the same time as everyone else. You're getting it before Bloomberg, Reuters, whatever. Okay. And it's not often, it's very, very rare you get that opportunity and head start. Doesn't mean you're going to catch all of them. I didn't catch none of it. I woke up, like Blake said, and it traded up 141.20s or something. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? But you've got to have this stuff because this is what we're going to get for the next 4 years. And if you can catch one of those tweets, well, you can make yourself a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. Secondly, on the stuff itself, you looking at the fundamentals behind it. The tariffs that he's slapping on are for a specific purpose right now. It's against immigration, Mexican immigration, Canadian immigration, and the transport of drugs via gangs and criminals and all that sort of stuff. That's why he's put these 25% tariffs on. The same with China. He's moaning about the imports of fentanyl into the country by illegal means. That's what he's targeting with these tariffs. This is not the trade tariffs that are to come. The 100%, 200% on Mexican cars and all that sort of stuff. Okay, this is a shot across the bows for those countries. So it's not really anything to do with trade, but it's just a precursor for what's to come. It gives these guys an opportunity. What?
Ryan, did you say bow or bowels? I thought I heard you say
across
this.
The bow, like bow of shit.
It affects the other too.
I think he might have loosened some bowels.
Yeah, not quite. You'd know about it if I had.
Anyway,
but yeah,
this
is just an appetizer for what's to come. Yeah. It gives these guys, a choice. Do you want to have a fight as soon as I get in the hot seat, or do you want to do something now? And then I don't need to slap tariffs on. So it's all the bargaining chip, and this everyone who is outside of America is running around with their pants on fire, panicking about these tariffs. And he's sitting back. He must be laughing, going, "Look at all these guys. They're running around like headless chickens because I've threatened tariffs."
I mean, seriously. Yeah, that's got to be the opinions going on. Hey, Ryan, I want to ask you this, and then I'm going to ask Kman something here in just a second. So Kman, get your dancing shoes on. You're seeing the underperformance of, and sorry, I'll have Bitcoin up here. You're seeing the underperformance of the Canadian dollar and the Mexican peso. But you live in the UK. Obviously, you're a little bit more shielded from tariffs because you guys just don't make anything.
Just kidding. We make people.
You should change that, Ryan. You guys should change that. Anyway,
Chinese make that.
Hey. Anyway, I wanted to say you're seeing the underperformance of the Canadian and the Mexican peso. But if you live in Europe, and we'll get Steve's opinion here in a second. But if you live in Europe, I mean, do you get nervous buying the euro with Trump at the helm right now, going, "Hey, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for everybody. So I'm coming for you too."
They're nervous about him pulling out and them having to defend Europe more than anything, I think, Blake. If we're not going to be sending billions to Ukraine and Ukraine falls, it's not. They're talking about putting boots on the ground in Ukraine, France, and England. So
and Germany,
yeah, and Germany too. Okay, yeah. So I mean that's a problem with the euro. You want to be on that continent right now, if he can run loose.
Yeah, I think it's economies of scale. The eurozone, Europe is a different kettle of fish to one country like Canada. But I think the price moves yesterday were telling. Aussie went, Kiwi went. All those that might be falling foul of Trump, that are not a bigger bloc as Europe, all saw their currencies move negatively yesterday. So I think that was the market going, okay, he's gone after Canada and Mexico. Who are the other candidates he could go after?
But we saw that last night. I actually, I was short euros, closed it last night here, turnaround went long, got out before I went to bed in the 70s. I didn't expect us to be trading all the way back up here, but I played both sides on the euro yesterday because I was like, okay, this is just tough talk. I played it the other direction. If you guys are, again, if you're in the Forex Analytix, you can see in the trades room where I, closed out, went long, dollar cat. Oh, that's from this morning. Sorry, last night it was over here. I posted my positions out the dollar CAD, out the euro dollar. This is all last night, and I played both directions of this, but the euro's even significantly higher. It's 50 pips higher. It was about 70 pips higher than when I went to bed last night. Do you sell into this strength? That's the question I'm asking.
I wouldn't sell here. I've got a level.
Why? Because Europe is in such great shape with growth.
Yeah, but I'd rather sell it at 106.
Oh,
If it's
okay.
going to break, if it's going to break and hold, we haven't yet formed a proper bottom down here, in my opinion. And if we start seeing 104 at 105.30, 105 holding, then we've got more chance of a bottom in play. But if I was a seller, I'd be a seller up towards 106, because remember, this is a trend that's been happening since 112, and it's not going to break moving up 70 pips off a wonky bottom. So yeah, you can stay on the short side, but pick your levels. You know, we've had a move up. This is what, this third, fourth time above 105. So, you know, it could be a knock on the door too many times, and we're going to have a little move higher. But
Okay, well
it's all context.
let me ask Kman then, since you know, he's here, and he's probably the most proficient or most experienced person to talk about flows, since he worked on a bank desk for over 30 years. We have corporate month end, and then obviously month end flows, and we got a freaking holiday that's halfway through the week. So, Kman, how do you feel about what these flows are going to do, and how messy is this move going to be going into this week, being a holiday week?
It's exactly messy. I think what we've seen now is 2 days in a row. If you look at the European session, I spoke about that on the Flow show. You see demand in euros in the morning, and I think that's month end related by the European money managers. Yeah, today I think we could actually, because we are trading value date end of month, so we not going to rule out a bit of corporate dollar demand later on into the London fix, and then from then on I I, I take no bets. I mean, you guys are off on Thursday, likely Friday. No money manager respecting in themselves are going to wait until the end of the week to do big amounts. But just one thing is that if we see that US Corp dollar demand this afternoon, or in your morning towards the London fixing hour afternoon, it could see a tad of a reversal afterwards, I think, because the models are still calling for rather dollar sales into the end of the month. So it's going to be messy. I think it's really messy because we're also getting European CPIs starting on Thursday with Germany. It's going to be a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and I mean, we got the German was a German IFO yesterday. It's in the toilets.
Yeah,
I mean,
well.
you know, okay, look, I'm going to ask you another question, came in while I got you here, and I'm gonna ask Steve here, and I'm coming to Steve in just a second because I see Steve is lurking around. So Steve, don't go anywhere. You're in Canada, and by the way, one of the reasons why, and we could say technically, you know, I mean, we've been highlighting this chart for the last few days. Canadians following a nice little, you know, channel higher. Actually expected 139 before we hit 142, but obviously Trump happened and that happened. So, but you probably saw, you know, Trudeau and Trump. You know, who knows how long Trudeau is going to be around, but they spoke obviously before he tweeted what he tweeted. I mean, if you're looking at the Canadian dollar, do you continue to lean into selling Canadian dollars at this point? Because it's tricky. You know, we broke above
You mean selling the
140.
Canadian dollar, not
Selling
selling
Canadian
US, right?
dollars, like
Selling
looking for
Canadian
a
dollar.
higher dollar CAD. Do you play that trade, or are you looking opposite right now?
Yeah, we were talking about it. I think it may be the only one that, if you compare both, let's say Canada and Mexico, I
Yeah.
think the more dangerous one will probably be Mexico because there's a lot more flow of unwanted well, people and items coming from Mexico. I don't think Canada will
You
be
can
that.
say it. It's
uh,
not racist. Just
No,
kidding.
no, no.
I
I
live in
mean,
a
it's not
border town,
racist at
so, or
all.
border city,
It's
so
just the flow of goods and persons.
yeah.
Um, so if you want to counter trade something, it may be better in the Canada. But I don't think that Trump cares too much about Trudeau. To be honest, I don't want to. It's not politics. It's just something that we have to note. And I don't think he will care too much about Trudeau. Also, don't forget that the U.S. is a big oil producer, and Trump is going to continue to dig, also scrape, and yeah, I'm not a buyer of Canadian dollar, but it may slow down compared to what may happen to the Mexican peso if things get worse.
Doesn't it feel like it doesn't it feel like the as far as like Mexico goes, you know, when you're talking about very little flows, I mean,
Mm.
he could put a lot of pressure on Mexico. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
doesn't it seem like he wants to rewrite the USMCA? I know
Oh,
he's the one
definitely.
that put it in place, but I mean, just because he wrote it doesn't mean he doesn't want to renegotiate and say,
I
you know
think you
what?
want.
I want more.
Oh, oh, yeah, I think he wants to rip it apart again. And he already said that he want to renegotiate everything. So this is a but and he's still not in the seat. But this is for international trade and protectionism. It's going to be a much more dangerous 4 years there, and I think than the first time. He's probably learned, but also been more hawkish even than the first time. Yeah, I think we need to get prepared for quite harsh talk. At least at the beginning, and then it may end up being something that Ryan is mentioning regularly, like go very hard so to get people around the table. But getting people around the table, the starting point will be I am going to decide what's happening in Trump's case, and you guys can just perhaps soften the pill a little bit if you come over the bridge with a lot of money and what else?
Yeah. All right. Hey, just letting you guys know for those of you in the Forex, well, I'm letting everybody know. So
Ooh, here goes zero.
yeah, I'm gonna close out my euro and my euro short and my US dollar Canadian long right now. So just letting everybody know. I'm closing everything out. I was shorting as soon as I got up this morning, I started shorting the euro and I started going long the dollar CAD. So I just pulled
You know, I think
everything
a big
off.
story is being ignored by following the shiny object with all this tariff talk, and I know there's been great volatility, but I think it's an important event that's happening in the US dollar yen today because of its tie to yields and yields supporting the melt up in stocks if it's going to continue. So, where are we at with the yen here?
Well, the yen is actually starting to break some support, and let's talk. Let me bring in Steve. Steve brought this to everybody's attention via the Forex Analytics blog, which is free. You guys can get to that every single day. Steve, the dollar yen, you know, as you predicted, it looks like it's starting to come down. So, how do you feel about the dollar yen here? Do you think it's got further to go?
I I'm not enthusiastic about the momentum. It's still somewhat absent. Um, but yeah, I mean, it has.
Steve, you muted yourself on probably on accident there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you hit mute or something. So,
Since the beginning, so
you
or
said it probably has more to go, and then you went
oh yeah,
blank.
yeah, okay. It probably has more to go, and U.S. yields are pointing in that direction. So I still think there is the potential for more downside for USD yen. But I would really want to see some momentum pick up to the downside.
Yeah, and I mean, look at yields. They broke this triangle. I should probably remind everybody that I'll come back over to that 10-year. We bounced off a huge support in the 10-year notes. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Excuse me 1 second. But you can see yields. They're at a pretty key level of support, and we just have the 200 DMA just below us around 420. I mean, would you be buying yields or picking up the dollar yen on this dip? I mean, I don't know. It's a hard one, wouldn't you say, Steve?
In general, as I've said, I think upside potential is limited. Yes, we can potentially see higher levels both for yields for USD Yen, but in my opinion, the risk reward is really, really lousy to be long. I mean,
yeah, got it. Okay. Hey, I want to ask you, as you know, we were
by the
talking
way,
about
as a reminder,
what's that?
Canadians don't pay the tariffs. Chinese people don't pay the tariffs. Mexican people don't pay the tariffs. The US consumer does. Right.
Yes. Well, yeah, or
I'm saying that because every time, you know, Trump talks about tariffs, he's like, they're going to pay because we're going to put tariffs. They're not going to pay. Yes, obviously, when somebody puts tariffs on your products become less competitive, right? So you can, you can have issues with your exports. You can have reduced demand for your exports, but the tariffs are being paid by local consumers, right? You cannot tax foreigners. No country can tax foreigners. This is a tax on the local consumer. So we have to keep that in mind, but because in many cases, when there is no competitive product at a similar price, tariffs will just mean that the same product that people consume, they will have to pay more for. Or alternatively, in other cases, it means that people will have to buy another product at a similar price they were paying, but that is inferior to quality.
Yeah, I'll give you a really good example. And some of you may have heard this story in a brief sense. My wife has her gifting company. She ordered $30,000 worth of boxes from China during the first Trump presidency. The tariffs went into place before they were actually hit our shores. When they hit our shores, she had to pay, I think it was close to $10,000 extra in tariffs to get the product that was already shipped into the United States and to her business. So she had to bite $10,000, which she chose not to, because this is 2016. She chose not to pass it on to the consumer, you know, by raising her prices. But that won't happen again. And that's
no matter what she chose to do, somebody in the US would pay for that money.
yes,
right?
That is correct.
Either her or the final consumer of her products.
Correct.
But definitely not the Chinese that ship the products.
No, not at all. And that's and Steve, you make a great point about competing products. If you don't have, like, going back to my wife's example, she could go and shop for US box manufacturers, which happen to be 50% more if you manufacture them here in the United States and you get them made here. So, you know, what do? Do you buy American and pay 50% more, or do you go continue to buy the Chinese and pay a 25% tariff and just raise prices a little bit? That's basically what each business is making those decisions moving forward for the next 4 years. Whether you're talking about Canada, Mexico, you know, cars, fentanyl, you know, human trafficking, whatever, you know. And I'm joking about that. I'm being a little sarcastic. But
God, I have to pay more for my fentanyl this now.
You will, Dale. But good news is your weed is going to be okay.
Yeah,
don't worry, your gummies are going to be fine. We produce enough of those here in the United States. So hey, look, we got about 2 minutes before the market. We don't have a lot of data today. It's tomorrow is our data dump. Let me just confirm. Today,
we only have the Philly Fed non-manufacturing index in a minute.
Okay, so I'll pull up the dollar index really fast. Like I said, I just closed out all my dollar longs just a few minutes ago. If you're in the Forex Analytics chat room, you can go over here to the trades room and you can say, "Oh, what did Blake close?" Well, he closed the US dollar and the euro from the ones he placed a little bit earlier. So make sure you guys jump in the Forex Analytics chat room. I'll just pull up the dollar and I'll pull up the other thing. But Ryan, any trade ideas for today? What are you thinking?
Me, I don't know. I'm I'm getting tempted to maybe have a sniff at dollar CAD, try a little short, but the dollar's looking a bit strong right now that you guys have come to town, so I'll keep an eye on that. Also keep an eye on my Aussie Kiwi shorts, which have moved down nicely from above 111, so another one to keep an eye on. I'll be slicing and dicing that one as well.
All right, very good. And Kman, how about you, buddy? I know some data just came out, so it's but what are you thinking, Kman, for today?
Yeah, I'm trading the clock. I'm also short euro dollar, and for the rest, I don't think too much. I've restarted to buy gold, but I've also sold already more than half of it out back into the box. So I'm really trading a lot more. How shall I say? Dynamic over the next few days. That's about it.
Got to be fast, right?
Yeah, do a bit of spot FX trading like I used to do, fingers on the buzzers, and don't be shy to take your profits relatively quickly, at least bits and pieces. Like for instance, gold, I've let some go at 26.39. It's already $10 lower. So I mean, it's not a case of being a hero in this market. Really, really not. Just grab the cash, at least bits and pieces.
And that's going to be for the next 4 years.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. And
Right.
well, there's never going to be a better time again in the next 4 years to expect the unexpected.
Right, right. Hey, I hate to cut you off, but I just want to ask Steve if there's anything he's looking at. We have Jerry is already here, Dale's interview. So, Steve, any last minute thoughts for today?
Having to do with specific markets, you mean?
Anything you're like, keep your eye on this.
I'm definitely keeping an eye on precious metals. Huge reversal yesterday after a rebound in gold.
Yeah, that's ugly. That's dark cloud cover right there. Ugly.
And I think this potentially opens the door for a lower low before we can resume higher. So metals are definitely in my watch list. Having to do with the rest, nothing has really changed. USD Yen has broken down, but I want to see more momentum. Equities are flirting with all-time highs. I think other than that, we have more of the same. The dollar has stalled its upside, and perhaps we're going to see a little bit of a pullback here for the rest of the week. But of course, we get those bomb news like tariffs and whatever else might come our way, and definitely we need to keep an eye on because they can create, unexpected volatility, right?
Right. Well, Steve, thank you for your thoughts. I'll see you on the morning edge in about, and that's
absolutely.
for Forex Analytics subscribers. That's in about 45 minutes. Dale, I know you have Jerry here. So Dale, thanks for guiding us today. And
I didn't
have
do
a great
anything.
interview with Jerry.
All right, Jerry, welcome back. I still think Dixie goes 109, Steve. All right, Jerry, great to have you back. Let's follow the money together. How have you been, my trading warrior brother?
Doing great, Dale. Great to be here.
You're long the world. I know you are.
Well, been pretty long. I mean, yeah, I've been pretty long on the S&P, the Nasdaq, Bitcoin, things of that nature. I mean, it's been working out.
Okay.
But we take more of a longer term view. But certainly we do some tactical trading and things like that as well.
Okay, so has the red wave changed anything for you or made you more aggressive with what you've had? Maybe you want to share the screen and show your great work.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me go ahead and I'm going to share today.
Jerry has beautiful technical work.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
for
look, there's
Jerry's weekend. Yeah, Jerry's weekend charts. So you can go to followthemoney.com/charts, and here.
So I should join because once football season's over on the weekend, I'd have something to do.
You will have plenty to do. That's exactly right.
All right,
you'll get lost on this website. There's a ton of stuff here. But yeah, I mean overall,
look at that wedge.
Yeah, isn't that something? It's getting nice and tight.
Yeah.
The red wave, a little bit of a surprise because the way that
polls.
The way the polls read and everything, the market also seemed to be caught off guard, which was unusual. I mean, you could see in some markets that There was some expectation of that, but it was really the night of the election where you saw Bitcoin
Yeah.
really begin to surge as it became evident that
Trump
Trump had
trades.
the Trump trades, exactly. And then we
Yeah.
saw, of course, clean energy get crushed. All the usual suspects, the banks, went wild. I mean, think about what this means for you and I for the next 40 years, or for all of us. Financials are going hog wild because they know that regulation is going to be tepid. The gatekeepers, the overlords, so to speak, are going to be looking the other way, and so concerns about, for example, Visa's high interest rates or any of these things that were coming under scrutiny are now just not a problem at all. So for the next 4 years, I would imagine you're going to see, lack of
Different
regulation.
problems. Different
Different,
problems.
exactly. Different. It's a perfect way to put it. Different problems. And overall, though, I mean, I have to admit, despite that, I'm, or maybe because of that, it's hard not to be bullish on several of these markets.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I could push back a little bit on that, Jerry.
sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you four letters, NVDA. It was the comet of the year last year and the year before was a parabolic move, and the video looks like we're holding on by a thread if you have a chart of it. And not that I'm against AI, because I think we're going to need a lot of AI in at the Fed, at the Treasury,
Hmm. Yeah.
and the new administration. Human intelligence isn't enough. They'll need plenty of artificial. Uh, anyway, so there are some cracks in the market, and I mean, do you think that we just melt up to 7,000 S&Ps without an interruption?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, let's take a look at Nvidia, for example, because I think Nvidia, you make a great point. There are some overheated trades, but although when you look at this particular
It's a monthly.
stock,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a monthly. But when you look at Nvidia, say like on a forward PE basis out, like say in 2026, it's actually trading cheaper than Apple, which is
Wow.
really quite something. The underlying fundamentals of this company are just off the charts. But you're right. I mean, we go through all these different cycles. How long will Nvidia last? I think that what we saw here was a big hardware part of the cycle. If you listen to a lot of the smarter guys than me out there, they're basically saying that next year is going to be more of a software cycle. So you think of those
Yeah.
companies, like
Yeah.
Snowflake and others that are starting to pop,
Right.
they're going to benefit from AI. But yeah, you can see a little bit here. You can start to notice the last several monthly charts. They're getting a little bit, funny. Whereas before you had these nice big, kind of juicy candles. Now they're starting to get a little skittish, as you can see. And this is
Yeah,
a
volume has been declining all summer, it looks like, too,
yeah, you can
into the
see that
fall.
volume coming
Yeah.
down.
What's
Yeah,
the
and
blue line? The moving average? Okay.
that's the moving average on the,
All
yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
anytime we get this overheated, I like to take gains. I had a big strategy where I went long on Nvidia back in 2022, right after the Ethereum kind of crack up, where Ethereum moved to proof of stake, and then they didn't have mining anymore. So people said, "Oh gosh, Nvidia is dead because Ethereum is now no longer proof of work." And I saw, and I had always wanted to build in a position in NVIDIA, and I had felt like I had missed the boat. It was never a core position of mine. So in 2022, I started building a nice core position in it. And then I did better than I expected, of course. I didn't expect it to do this well this fast. I started pruning, though, this year. I started pruning some of
That's a
that.
lot of patience, Jerry. Congratulations, because it's one thing to make the call. So you saw the call and you
Yeah.
made the call. That it's better to make the trade. And what's better than the trade is really to have the patience for the hold. And I'm always really impressed with people that can sit and hold a winner and not be tempted to take money off the table. So nice trade if you're pruning now, because
Yeah.
I think there's a shot for a pretty good break in the video. And isn't that the Second highest market cap on the board, NVIDIA. So
I think
goes
it.
NVIDIA. Go ahead.
I think it's the number one. I mean, the last time no, it's
Okay.
number two now. No, you're right. Apple retook it. They've been flirting back and
Oh,
forth, I guess, when it pulled
okay.
back.
So I mean,
But
if we get a break back towards 100 and that look, 110, that area, I can't see the market being able to absorb it through rotation. Can
yeah,
you?
perhaps. Well, not necessarily. However, I think the tech trade is going to work under Trump. In fact,
Because
tech
of
and
Elon?
yeah, I think, well, because of that, and I also just think because of the innovation. I think we're just in this cycle here. Here's my thesis this decade. My thesis is that we are going to have kind of a repeat of the 1920s, where we're already kind of
Oh,
seeing it
roaring.
starts
Roaring
off,
20s.
yeah, an irrational roaring 20s. So
Hmm.
I expect that this is kind of an early part of the foray. I think the next 4 years, as we were talking at the top of this conversation about the lack of regulation, or the thought that there won't be any regulation, or they won't have to worry about the teeth of regulators or whatever, is going to cause just a lot of excess. And I think for those who own assets in this environment, if they're smart, they sit and they just kind of, and of course, at some point it all comes crashing down. I mean, you and I both know it's a house of cards. It's at some point it's going to have to come down. It's built upon faulty stuff. But the innovation just keeps going. Even if you go back to the Depression, even in the wake of the Roaring 1920s, you see that innovation didn't stop. In fact, it accelerated during the Depression. And so,
Yeah.
I look at innovation as really kind of propping this up. And I think we have so much liquidity now. We're in this easing cycle, which is going to last, I think, for the rest of this decade, albeit probably a couple hiccups along the way. I just think that we're probably going to see a lot of boom before a really big bust. And I think that it behooves people to be exposed, especially for the next at least 2 or 3 years. I mean, if you go back and look at Trump's first uh, term, for the first 3 years, the markets were going up pretty good.
Yeah.
And then it just all crashed and went, and came down. But it was at that moment, it was really at that moment, Dale, that I think my eyes were opened. It was in 2020. It was in 2020, and I had been investing since the late or mid to late 90s. And I had been through several cycles. I went through the 2008 crash. I went through all that stuff, the dot-com bubble and all this kind of stuff. And so when we got to 2020 and I saw the market implode, and I saw Trump standing on the stage at the White House, at the press area, and he clearly had no idea what the hell was going on. I mean, you could see it in his eyes. He didn't know what was going on. And that freaked me out because I thought if he doesn't know what's going on, then oh my gosh. And so I didn't really know what to do with my investments at that time. I went to cash. It was right at the end of February when I was looking at his eyeballs on TV going, this guy doesn't know what's going on. So I started just, selling stuff. And it turned out to be a great time because in March, of course, the bottom fell out. But then I immediately said, well, I got to get back in now because I knew they were going to step in. And they stepped in with a vengeance, Dale. They stepped in with a vengeance to the tune that you have never seen. And it happened to be an election year that helped. That helped the cause. But so 2020, they backed up the truck. They did everything they possibly could. They threw everything at it. And there you go. That's what they're going to do the next time you see a crash comes. In other words, this is what we have to learn. We have to learn that the powers that be are going to keep this gravy train rolling as long as they can, no matter how much it hurts. They're going to do it. And the people who own assets are going to benefit, and the people who don't are going to get hammered. And I think that's just the story we've learned for the last 20, 30, 40 years of this fiat experiment that we're in. They're going to blow it up at some point. They won't be able to fix it at some point. But right now, they keep doing it. So right now, we're starting to see M2 money supply going back up, of course. The rates are starting to, they're trying to push rates down anyway. And let's maybe take a look at the dollar here for a minute, because I know you guys like to focus on that. I do too. I really focus a lot on the dollar.
Well, okay.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
go ahead. You going to say something?
No. Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, the dollar has, I've been using this chart now for quite a while, and this particular chart is really helpful for me. But as you can see, this 106 to 108 region here on the screen, let me zoom in just a bit. There we go.
Yeah.
106 to 108 area, we actually tapped out the top of that 108 area and then rejected it. The value, by the way, the price of the dollar index right now, this chart's just a little bit dated. It came from Friday, but it's about 106.75. So this is a pretty good representation. It's stuck in this box right now.
Right.
And for me, I didn't expect it to get back above 106. I certainly don't expect it to get above 108. And here we are. What do we do? And the Fed is, of course, expected to cut rates again next month on the 18th of December. And if you look at the CME Fed watch tool right now, the expectation or probability of a rate cut is about 60%, just where it was a couple of weeks ago. So there's still a majority probability of a rate cut, and yet this dollar just keeps going up. And there's a few reasons. I think it's the tariffs. I think it's the Trump trade. I think it's the anticipation that Trump is going to be obviously America first. That's good news for the dollar in some ways. But when you look at the Trump, in fact, I encourage anybody, especially you guys, because you guys look at this a lot, at the currencies, go back and look at the currency. I don't have a chart here in front of me, but if you go back and look at the currency of the dollar.
Yeah, it peaked.
It peaked right into his inauguration the first time. So when he won, the dollar started running. And then as soon as he literally started getting sworn in, the dollar started coming down. And I mean, it came down with a vengeance. It was coming down for quite a long time. So I think we may be seeing something similar. This is kind of an enthusiasm. It's a optimism, and you're seeing the dollar rally. But there's really not a reason for this. I mean, when you think about, the rates are supposedly supposed to be coming down. The Fed's on track to do it. And we have, a $36 trillion national debt now. I'm expecting at any point.
How low do you think 10-year yields could go on this cycle? Because I don't think we'll trade much below 390. I don't think we're going back to those lows. Do you? Going back
really?
to 360?
I think so. I think we will. I really do. I think we will. But the problem is, what complicates that is that I also expect, and this is going to make it difficult for rates to go low,
is supply.
Yeah. And also,
Deficits.
yeah. And of course, the inevitable outcome of that, where we could have a rating agency, I'm expecting any day now, rating agency to come out. Absolutely. Just total reckless. I mean, if you look at the expectation of the Trump spending, I mean, it's just absolutely positively absurd. I mean, it is beyond absurd, and so the fact that we have, I don't want to get political here, but I mean, come on, it's a kind of a joke now, isn't it? I mean, the libertarians and the conservatives and the fiscal, it's a big joke. Yeah. I mean, nobody believes it anymore. So the point is that we are running amok. We got, deficits galore. Both parties don't care, and the people who are voting don't seem to care. We never even heard the word. We never even heard the word national debt during the entire 2024 presidential campaign. We didn't hear it. It didn't even come up at the debates. The $36 trillion national debt. Dale, somebody's got to do something about it. Now, you would say, well, if you're worried about that, why do you think rates are going to come down? Well, I think that the government right now, this is the first year that we have spent over $1 trillion in interest payments. This is the first time. We've never had a year where the United States has spent more than $1 trillion in interest payments. I think that they know that they're going to have to do something, because the interest rates hurt the government in many ways the most because of their massive debt. So I would imagine they're going to be doing whatever they can creatively to get those rates down, fighting upstream to do it. And I know that President Trump is going to want that. I mean, heck, when you go back to the first term of the Trump presidency,
he was on Powell all the time to bring rates down. He threatened to fire him.
He threatened to fire him. He wanted negative interest rates, and you could only imagine how bad inflation would have gotten had we had to come from negative interest rates. And so I would imagine that when Trump gets in, if rates are not coming down in a hurry, he's going to be blaming the Fed. This is one thing that Biden didn't understand. Biden could have been blaming the Fed, and the people would have believed it. the people would have believed it. They wouldn't have blamed Biden. They would have blamed the Fed. Biden could have been out there saying, look, here I am trying to have this great economy, and this Fed just keeps messing. Well, why do they keep raising interest rates? See, people don't know how inflation works. They don't know what's going on. So he could have blamed the Fed. And people would have said, the Fed, it's the Fed's fault. Well, see, Trump's a master in that. He's going to blame everybody but his own policy. So he's going to blame the Fed. And so get ready to be hearing about how the Fed's the problem as soon as he gets in. But it's not been the problem up until now. It's been Biden. I tell you, the guy's he's a very good salesman. And
let me ask you this: now that we went there, Paul is really unrestrained now, right? He's not looking for another term, right?
Right.
He's got a year left. They're not exactly. There's no bromance between Paul and Trump. Maybe Paul and some of his Fed governors are already coming out and saying, inflation is still sticky. Maybe he's not as accommodative as maybe even the market would dictate. For that reason, that he switches back to an inflation fight rather than supporting economic growth.
I guess that's a possibility.
It's his legacy, right? What's going to be his legacy?
Right.
He's leaving in a year. Would you rather have your legacy be that you finally did something substantial about inflation, or even if you have a recession or runaway hyperinflation, that you leave for the next Fed chairman?
Yeah. Well,
it's just something to think about.
What's
his legacy?
What is his legacy going to be?
Don't you think that personal feelings ever come into play on and affect policy?
I'm sure they do.
I don't think that after his experience with Trump, he wants to help him.
Probably so. But
we'll see.
We'll just have to see. You see this dollar chart here. This one is the one that's just been pretty zany. You can see where it's just been real locked in between this 100 to 101, and then up here 106 years. To 108. Yeah, just back and forth. It's kind of zany. Well, now we're finally back up here, so something's happening. So we're actually starting to test the upper bounds of this. And again, what took us up here was the 9% inflation fight, and all this kind of stuff. So the dollar was surging. There's really no reason to see it hit back to these levels. I guess you could see it for whatever reason, but I don't see the reason. So I do suspect we are going to see a breakdown at some point, and it may coincide with Trump's inauguration. And if that's the case, then you can get ready for, I think, could be a very nice
commodity markets too, right?
Tailwind. Yeah, tailwind as the dollar comes back down. All these markets can start to move back
gold's
higher.
Been correcting. Where do you want to buy it, Jerry?
Yeah, I like gold for the long term, of course. I like to just hold physical. Let me find my gold. Here's my gold chart here.
What's your address?
123 Main Street.
All right, I'm bringing my metal detector with me. We'll have lunch.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
All right, buddy.
But yeah, we got gold. As far as gold's looking, I think gold goes on to hits another high. The problem was that gold had gotten on the monthly chart. I like to look at the monthly chart a lot to kind of dictate where things are. And I don't have a monthly chart. I don't know if I have a monthly, or I have one right here. But anyway, so the monthly chart just got really out of whack. And I said, it's due for a pullback, but I don't think we're going to really fall. Remember, again, President Trump, one of the very best presidents in history for the price of gold, one of the very best. And so I think gold is kind of correcting here after a big long run, but it's not because of Trump, and it's because it was already due for a pullback. It was so overbought. Technically,
who's selling?
The selling has been fairly muted. It hasn't been that excessive, but at the same time, it's just been a needed kind of a needed correction. But I think
if you came in long yesterday, you would say it was excessive.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Right. Anyway, but
all perspective.
I I agree with you on the gold. I just think, 23 and a half, 2400 is kind of my level towards the end of the year or January. You
Okay,
think
yeah,
things
that's
can, do you think things can kind of, that December is a layup, that, everything's okay until year end, that there could be any surprises in December that, or, shake it up?
could be. What I'm kind of seeing more of is probably a very nice rally into the end of the year.
Right.
Um,
That's the main narrative.
that's the main narrative, and I think next year is going to be another great year for assets. I think it's going to be another great year. You got to remember too that November is the month when the people who sell in May and go away, they come back. So you've got those fresh buyers coming back into the market in November. And then you also have people who trade based upon their politics, which is a big, big no-no. But but many people have been sitting on the side because they've been fearful that Biden was going to bring on some sort of fiscal apocalypse. And now that Trump has won, you're going to start seeing more money flow back into the equity side. There's been a tremendous amount of money flow out of equities that's still not returned. I mean, we're still sitting on $6-7 trillion in money markets. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
very large number, and
Okay.
historically, and so that money is going to flow back in, and you know, uh,
When they're not getting 4 or 5%, when they're
when they're
getting, right.
exactly, and I think that's
Got
going
it.
to it's going to juice these markets. That's going to be the rocket fuel, plus the AI narratives, plus the crypto cycle, plus the
So
dollars
maybe they
coming
should lock
down.
in these rates with going out, and most people are bearish duration with the yield curve moving from being inverted
Hmm.
to yields starting to, the back end is having a harder time rallying, except for yesterday. Do you have a view on the bond market? Maybe we
Oh,
could wrap it.
I'm not a big bond guy. I mean, I certainly understand the markets as well as I could. I mean, there's a lot of guys who know much better than me. I think overall that bonds are going to head higher. Bond prices are going to head higher over the next few years as the rates normalize.
Okay.
And I and so I, but again, I would probably be looking at high grade corporate bonds. I like Vanguard's long term corporate bond
Okay.
fund and things like that. I'd probably be staying away from long term government bonds.
Okay. Jerry, it was great having a conversation like usual with you. I'm sure that people that are watching or listening right now would like to follow up on this interview and check you out. What's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, the best thing they can do is just go over to followthemoney.com. If they go there right now, in fact, we have a Black Friday sale,
How about
50%
that?
off. Yeah,
Okay.
50% off all of our memberships. We have a gold, silver, and platinum plan, and there we have, I mean, just tons and tons of material for folks who want to learn how to trade, learn how to invest. We have charting solutions, we have webinars, we have stock lists, trading ideas, trading alerts. I mean, everything that they might want. Black Friday sale right now, followthemoney.com. And we're here to help. We're here to hold their hand, help them to learn how to invest, learn how to trade, and learn how to prosper in this wild economy.
Yeah, and Jerry's work is elite.
Thank you.
So I don't like to fade you. So that's the ultimate compliment is,
Thank,
you
thank you,
know,
sir.
I used to look for people to fade, but you wouldn't be one of them. And I don't look for them anymore anyway. That's when my ego,
Right.
that's when, you know what ego stands for, edging God out, right? So that's when it
Yes,
was bigger.
indeed.
That's when it was bigger. So, brother, great talking to you before the holidays. You
Yes,
know, I,
likewise.
yeah, I hope you have a great final quarter, into the end of the year. And you and I will be talking in the brave new world next year. I look forward to seeing how things play out and really appreciate your giving spirit to come here and lay it all out on the table for our community.
Well, I appreciate the invite and I appreciate your good work, Dale. So thanks to you and your team.
Jerry Robinson, everyone, at Follow the Money, and find him on X at FTM Daily, and check out his, Black Friday, uh, Black Friday deal. So you don't even have to go out to the store to shop. Just click it. And good hunting, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Jerry Robinson, everyone. It's going to be a wrap here. Join the team in 15 minutes on the Morning Edge. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. We're blessed to have guys like Jerry come in and lay it out on the line. He's been real right. And that's a wrap, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we'll wrap up the week tomorrow. Okay? All right, people are thanking you, Jerry. They love your voice. Do you do karaoke too? Are you a singer?
I've heard I have a face for radio and
I've
also
heard,
a voice.
yeah. Are you a singer?
I
Can
sing, yeah. I can sing, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, I figured,
Yeah.
anyway, we'll have to, I cover Elvis, so we'll
You
have to
do.
do,
You and I need to do an Elvis duo next
do
time
you
for the
do
folks.
Elvis?
Yeah, we can do
You
it.
know,
You can just pick a song, man. I know it.
If I said I needed you,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
you said you would always stay.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, how about this
All
right
right.
here?
Yeah, go
Lord
ahead.
Almighty, I feel my
Oh,
temperature rising. Right.
better. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
come on, man. Let's do it.
All right, Jerry. So we'll have to do it. We'll go on X Live
Don't let me
and do a
down,
little,
Dale. Let's do it.
huh? All
Don't
right.
let me down. Let's do it.
All right. Let me know. We'll go on X Live. We'll talk markets and we'll intersperse different Elvis songs. You're
I
really
love it.
doing well.
You
All right. So
well, you're pretty good, yeah.
all right. Anyway, a little extra here on Face today. And anyway, Jared, great smiling with you, bro.
Okay,
All
good to
right.
see you, buddy. Have a good one.
Crowd loved it. They loved the singing. All right, man.
See
All
ya.
right, everyone. Have a great day. Make it